Alright, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk about my song, Saved. So this one's going to be a little bit controversial because it is definitely the most explicitly Christian song I have ever done. And I've let my faith influence my songs before, Trade the World. I had a song with my band Surreal called Orion. There's tons of songs where my faith is kind of underlying it, but it's sort of hidden. And even me as a Christian, I often prefer songs where it's just a little more layered and metaphorical, right? I don't know why that is. I think it's because I feel sort of called to reach other people who aren't already Christians, right? And as soon as you start going on about as soon as you hear the word Jesus or glory or anything like that in a song, if you're not a Christian, you're just gonna be like, all right, I'm out, peace, see you later, not interested. And so, I think it's often just not only a better idea, but just more artistically, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It just sort of gels better when things are a little more subtle, right? Unless you're going for a worship song, in which case you should go all out, which is kind of what I did here. So I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go as far in this direction as I possibly can. I'm going to be as on the nose and as literal as I can possibly be, and just sort of put it out there and just try to reach some people. Because whether you're not a Christian or whether you are and you're struggling and you feel like you've sinned too much, whatever it is, I feel like everybody can use the message that it's okay to come back to God. And He knows that we're not perfect. He knows that we make a lot of mistakes. And that didn't stop Him from loving us. That's the whole point of this song. That's the message of the New Testament. And I think a lot more people, especially non-Christians, should know that it's not about trying to be perfect. God already knows we're not perfect. God already knows we're flawed and fallible and we mess up and we hurt people and we hurt ourselves. But the point was that Jesus overcame that through His sacrifice. And so I just think that's so beautiful, and I wanted to really put it in a song that no matter where you are, God is longing to have you come back to Him, right? And so that's what's going on with this one. And it's funny because my prediction is this song is going to be less popular because of just sort of the overt Christian themes. But apparently I'm a terrible gauge of how good my songs are. Because last month I thought I crushed it. I was like, oh, Believe is so good. It's going to be amazing. People are going to love it. And it didn't really perform as well. And the metric I use to decide how well a song has done, because how do you measure art, right? How do you really measure art? Is it in, the comments? Is it in the views? Whatever. But every month I do a little bit of ad spend on the songs. And I try to get people over from Facebook and Instagram and into Spotify. And to me, the most hard and concrete metric is how much does it cost to get someone to go from a quick ad to, okay, I want to go actually listen to this. And for Believe, it was pretty high. It was so a good number is 25 cents, 30 cents. At first, Believe was $1 a click. Or not a click, but $1 for someone who actually went over and listened, which is terrible, And then it came down a little bit to 50 cents, which is, not as good. So all that to say, I thought last month was great, and it, didn't perform as well. I'm still super proud of it. I love that song. I love Believe. I couldn't have, done it any better in my opinion. It's exactly what I wanted to do. But this month, my prediction is this one might not do as well, and I could be totally wrong. So we'll see what happens. Maybe people will love it. Maybe the fact that it is so overt is going to speak to Christians specifically, or maybe it's going to move some people who are atheists or, once were Christians but left. But that's the song. So let's get into the music a little bit. I'm not going to go as in-depth with the production side just because I feel like the last video I put so much time into it and I don't know if it resonated with people as much. But if you missed that, let me know. I can always go back into the computer. But the basic idea was I wanted to do something folky but on piano. So how do I take something that's an acoustic guitar part and put it on this different instrument, right? So on acoustic guitar, you're doing a lot of broken chords if you're finger picking. So I came up with this. Right, that kind of lick there. And it sounds very folky, it sounds very earthy, it sounds like something an acoustic guitar would do. And then you start singing over it, and you've got a song. So one thing I thought was really cool about this song, there's a chord progression where I essentially just move up through the scale, right? And you'd never know it just by listening to it. But I go from B flat minor, A flat over C, D flat, and then I go to sort of like a D flat over E flat, D flat over F, G flat, A flat. So in other words, put that all together, the bass line is going, it's just walking up through the scale in order. Check this out. Something like that, right? And then the second half of the pre-chorus, I do G flat, A flat, B flat, and then A flat over C again, D flat, A flat, D flat. So in other words, the second time, instead of starting on the 6 chord and walking up, now I'm going to start on the 4 chord and walk up through the scale on that. So both halves of the pre-chorus, I'm walking up through the scale. And if this sounds like Latin to you, I apologize, but if you're a music theory nerd, you might get a kick out of that. So I was really proud of that pre-chorus, because especially the verse is so simple. It's just the 1 chord, and then I go to 4, back to 1, 4, 6, 5. And if you've watched my music theory or ear training videos, you know the 6 chord gives it a little darker of a sound, and the 5 chord gives it pull. You want to hear it go back to 1. So the verse is a little more standard. Okay, verse is pretty standard. Pre-chorus does the cool scale walkie thing. Then the chorus, this is really, oh, I can't believe I haven't talked about this. I wrote the same chorus for like 2, maybe even 3 different songs. I think just 2. But I had like different hooks for them and different lyrics, but it was the same melody. It was this da, 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 whatever. That melody kept coming up, and I realized I've written this song twice with different sets of lyrics. And the first one, I think I called it like, I think I started with Saved, and then like I wrote a song called Restored, and I didn't even realize I'd already written it. Like, your heart will be restored, something like that. And then I landed back on, you can still be saved. And it was almost like this chorus was just meant to be, like, it just kept coming back to me. So, I don't know, maybe God wanted me to like reach people with this song, and you know, he kept putting this chorus on my heart. I don't know. But it's the 4 chord, then 5, 1 over 3, then 6. And then this is interesting. I didn't want to walk back down to 5 and then back down to 4, because I feel like it's just too much motion and you sort of get like seasick almost. So what I did was I landed on 6, walked the right hand down to like a 5, but I don't change the bass note every time. So 4, 5, 1 over 3, 6, kind of like 5 over 6, then back to 4, 5, really land on 6. You get that darker sound. For when skies above are gray. That's a really sad sound. Skies above are gray. Okay, then starts over. I'll lift you from the water. You're not too far away. There's that deceptive cadence again. 6. You can still be saved. Lands on 1. Brings it home. It's so good. Brings it all the way back to the resolution there. Then probably the coolest part of the song is where it just explodes into this like folky, acoustic, the sky's opening kind of thing right after the second chorus. And I basically just did a piano solo underneath all the layers. So if you really listen to it, there's quite a lot going on. There's like a, I don't even know. I don't know, I haven't practiced it. But, so, I could sit down and relearn it, but I basically worked out this whole piano solo. And then over the top of that, I put in acoustic guitars, I put in strings, I put in bass, I put in light percussion, and I put in a choir of, 8 tracks or something in my vocals, and the whole thing just opens up and it sounds so cool. I love that part. To me, the whole song is building up to that. And then it softens back up for that last chorus. And if you know me, you know I love a soft chorus just to bring the song home, where you strip everything away. And you really it gets really intimate. And then it just ends. You can still be saved. Right? So, sort of closing thoughts about the song. The hardest thing, the biggest challenge was actually the vocals. And it's so funny because this is not a hard song to sing. It's in like a super comfortable range, you can still be saved. Very conversational. But for some reason, whenever I went to record it, and I listened it back, it just didn't sound like, I didn't believe it. You know what I mean? It didn't sound professional. It just sounded like almost amateurish for some reason. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if the melody's too simple, and so I needed to have like a really good vocal take to balance it out. But I went through like 7 passes of this, or 6 passes of like, oh no, I need to re-overdub that one line, and I did like 8 takes of the first line, and I got to the point where I was so frustrated that I was like, I just have to redo the entire thing, or just live with how it is now. And I went with the first option. I didn't redo the entire thing. I'm trying to be less perfectionistic, but I really did get to a point where I was like, I just have to re-record it. I just have to do like at least 5 more takes, literally delete the takes I have now so I can fully just move on and start fresh. And I ended up not doing it, so I fought my perfectionist side. And what you hear is what's in the song. So I hope you love it. Stay tuned, because I'm going to try to do one of these for every song I release. And I'll see you next month.